Hi guys, Craig Rivers here from Rivers End Outdoors. So today what I'm going to talk about is I'm going to talk about books and mostly for information, old books, and how important they are for us on a day-to-day situation, especially with modern survival and bushcraft and all of that, and how it all correlates and how it goes together. So come along with me and let's check out the video. So what I have here is an old Baker Hamilton catalog, hardware catalog. These people had a supply house in San Francisco, warehouse. They actually started in Sacramento supplying the gold miners during the gold rush. And then in 1905, they built a really big building in San Francisco. The building's still there. It survived the earthquake. And these guys had everything. Look how thick that catalog is. I mean, this is probably like an early day Amazon. You can find everything in this catalog. Excuse me. And fascinating information. You can learn a lot. It's a good reference guide. Now, a lot of the bushcrafters today, there's probably a dozen of them on YouTube that like the vintage stuff. And vintage gear like cook pots and camp stoves, lamps. There's one guy that does a hobo channel, does a lot of stuff on hobo gear, and you can find a lot of that in here, and you can kind of figure out what you got. And if you're trying to build a kit, you can kind of look in here and you know what to look for items if you want to do the vintage route. Now, the other thing is there's lots of books that are really, really good. And the thing that I like about older books is there's more than you would actually realize. Now, I have a 1880s set of encyclopedias. It's not a complete set. Half of it was rotten and mouse eaten, and I pitched it. But in those encyclopedias, what makes them nice, the earlier ones, is not only do they tell you what something is they tell you how to use it and how it works. An example is I was reading through those encyclopedias and I was looking at lighthouses. And in there, they talk about if you have a lighthouse that's out on an isthmus, you can run a cable down, drop it in the water on one side, and run another cable down and drop it in the water on the other side. And what you do is put a little carbon rod up there in your lamp, and it'll create a carbon arc, which will make light. And fascinating information. I mean, you didn't even need electricity or lamp oil or anything to make it work. And along with that is I was looking up lightning rods because my house was built in 1906. Even though I'm on the West Coast, there's not a lot of lightning rods out here, but I wanted to see how they worked and what they were all about. And in those encyclopedias, it tells you, how to mount them, how to run the ground wire, how to make sure they're efficient, for, huge lightning bolts and you're not going to burn your house down. And fascinating information. And so it's really important. And there are other books. There are things that give you a lot of knowledge. I have a Department of Agriculture book from that same era. It talks about all the wood they harvested back east, and unfortunately, all the forests that they cut down for all the wood that they harvested, and even in San Francisco. San Francisco didn't burn down just once. It burnt down a couple of times. And in Oakland Hills, there was redwood trees up there, and they mowed that flat the first time they built Frisco. Then they had the earthquake, a few years later, earthquake and fire, and they mowed it flat again to rebuild San Francisco. So there's a lot you can learn from a lot of that. So anyway, let me see if I can get this camera situated, and then we'll go through this book and I'll show you what's in here. All right, everything's going to be a little bit jittery here because I didn't do real well get my camera set up. Hopefully you guys can see everything. But what I'm going to do is start in the back of the book with fishing. They got everything in here. I mean, there is absolutely everything. Fish spears or frog gigs, gaff hooks, fish baskets. I mean, you name it. Buckets, minnow traps. Can you see that? Minnow traps. Full kits, fishing kits. Fishing lines already set up to go, little wallet things. I mean, they got everything. All kinds of stuff. A lot of this stuff I never even knew what it was until I started looking in here. Tons and tons of fishing stuff. Bait buckets, actual bait, lures. I mean, it's crazy. How could they do this in the early 1900s? The building for this warehouse was ginormous. I mean, just huge. And pretty crazy, actually. Fishing fly rod cases. I wish I had something like that right there. Got a nice fly rod and I don't want it to get ruined. So here's something, a camping tent. Wall tent. Huh, kind of funny, I got one just like that. Tent stakes. Floaters for learning how to swim. Lanterns. Coleman mantles. All kinds of lanterns. And lamps too. There's a whole lamp section in here. Well, of course, like a hardware supply. Air mattresses. Who knew they had this stuff back in that time period? There's a folding frying pan. These are camp kits. Aluminum camp kit. Cook pots. Wire grill. Camp utility sets. More lantern stuff. Nice case for Coleman lantern. Coleman stoves. Tons of Coleman stoves. Axes, shovels. You know, this is not junk. This is good stuff. Marble safety axe. Skate wheels. I didn't even know they skated back then. Golfing stuff. We don't care about that. Tennis rackets. Okay, so let's go to this section. Okay, now, I have a 300 Savage I've been shooting and hunting with for years. What I didn't know, you know, and this is a section with rifles and things, I did not know that Savage made so many different models of lever actions. And it shows all the different models. I mean, there was a lot of different models of lever actions. Here's the combination rifle kit, breakdown set. I think you could get a 300 Savage model or 22 high power. It's the same case size basically, and you could interchange the barrels. A lot of other Savage guns and guns. Winchester guns in here. Nice shotguns. I mean, price is $57. Oh no. Yeah, $57 each. It's not cheap. That must have been a pretty good gun. Cigar lighters. Thermoses. Tons of thermoses. Okay, let's go. Wine corks. Knives, tweezers. Okay. Here's the razors and hunting knives. Marbles knives. You could buy whole displays, I guess, if you were supplying a hardware store. Tons of different hunting knives. Now, these knives here are cool. And you can find them at yard sales, old ones, and old knives, and they are really good. I can skin and cut up my whole deer. I have a marbles knife, and I don't even have to sharpen my knife. Bullet knives. I mean, who would have thought? More pocket knives, Remington pocket knives. Hobo knife for the hobo guys. Can you see that? Hobo knife. They even have novelty knives. Remington knives. Lots of knives. Scout style knives. Scout knives. It's pretty cool. It's got the flag on the side. Just, you know, I think I'm flipping 2 pages at a time. There's just a lot of knives here. You guys that are into old knives, this would be the Bible. Boy Scout knife. Just a ridiculous amount of knives. You can pick any style, any type of knife you would like. Displays. Pick what type of blades you want. Other cutlery. Spoons. All kinds of stuff. Game and bird carving knives. Winery stuff, which, you know, a lot of the little wineries when I was growing up around here in the old days, you know, kind of standalone wineries that are people that were just making their own wine. This is the type of equipment they used. I still have some of this stuff around. Bottling equipment, corks, valves, a bung borer. I have one of those. Okay, let's go. More camp outfits. Frying an omelet pan. Camp outfits. Big bush pots. Everything. Coffee pots. Okay, let's go. Keys. Tons of keys. The locks in my house, because my house was built in 1906, uses these types of keys here. I think I got one key. It'll open every single door there is. In fact, if you have this key here, it'll open any skeleton key lock there is, because, you know, most of them have like a wide tab, but that thing will still work. Modern keys. Okay, let's go here. I just watched a video. Oh, more wine equipment. This is a crusher here. I have one of those. It's actually pretty big. Okay, see, here's where the knowledge comes in. I got one of these things laying around, and been here for years, and all the old timers that come to the ranch argue on whether it's an ice saw or a hay saw. Well, right there it says hay knife, so that's what that is. And I've even actually heard them called corn knives. But I can tell them old timers that, hey, I know what it is. I can prove it. There was one thing in here I wanted to show you folks, if I can find it. Okay, here we go. This stove right here, I don't know if you can see that. It's a little kerosene stove. Now, I just watched a video of a guy that had one of these that he bought new, and he thought it was the coolest thing. He never heard of them, never seen them. Well, these things have been around for 100 years. It's basically got a long wick in there, and you can see the light through the front. And there's a couple of them, a couple different types. And the modern one, you can get them on Amazon. I think it's called the iron stove or an iron stove. And yeah, they've been around for a long time. So pretty cool. Cool information. Ovens for your wood stove. Lots and lots of wood stove stuff in here. Gas stoves. Tons of wood stoves. You know, a lot of this stuff was used pretty late. People think that, oh, you know, since 1900, the horses and all that were gone, and we just had cars. Well, no, we didn't. In the town I lived in the 1900s, I think in 1920 was the first car they ever had in this town. And in fact, I have a license plate off of one that's really old. And one of the first license plates in the state. So, you know, it's just crazy. So there you go, guys. This is my book. And again, it was Baker and Hamilton. Actually, Baker and Hamilton and Pacific Company. I mean, look at how much stuff is in here. Pages of it. Pages of it. Bolts. All kinds of tools. Wheelbarrows. Just all kinds of stuff. Really cool. This, I don't know if you can see this or not. This is a picture of the building. Here's the trucks. So these had to be, I would say these are 20 style trucks. But this is what the building looked like. If you go online and type in Baker Hamilton Company, you'll find this building. They just recently turned it all into modern offices. And again, like I say, there's a grandson, great-grandson of one of the family members of this company that has a winery in Napa Valley, which is in California, upper middle part of the state. And it's wine country. And you can check out their winery, and they got a picture, another picture of a catalog like this. Mine is catalog number 8. I don't know what theirs is, but pretty rare book, very interesting. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is Craig Rivers from Rivers End Outdoors. I will see you in the next video. Bye now.